ITE.com.
Talk health. Talk wealth. Talk politics. Talk 1470 and 95.3 FM. WNN.
Hi, I'm Shauna.
And I'm Kiefer. And we're Thompson Square.
We're blessed to be able to perform in front of thousands of people every night.
And when we sing this song, Glass, it always sends a powerful message.
The lyrics speak to how fragile we all are and how life's journey is not always a straight and simple path.
We're honored to be speaking out on behalf of a cause that is very dear to us, Child Fund International.
Child Fund has been changing the lives of children in need for over 50 years.
In 31 countries, they find ways to improve the lives of impoverished kids because Child Fund doesn't let poverty slow them down.
Their mission is to educate, to empower, and to help these children thrive at all the stages of their lives.
And to become leaders of enduring change. This is what Child Fund is all about.
Disrupting poverty, creating opportunities, and brighter futures. Learn how at childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
I'm a third grade teacher.
I'm a school bus driver.
I am a parent.
I am a teacher's aide, and I agree to be identified
as a caring adult who pledges to help bullied students.
I will listen carefully to all students who seek my help
and act on their behalf
to put an immediate stop to bullying.
I will work with other caring adults to create a safe
learning environment for all the students in my school.
In my school.
In my school.
In my school.
I'm Dennis Van Rokel, President of the National Education Association. Help us create safe, bully-free learning environments for all students. One caring adult can make all the difference. Be that adult and take the pledge at NEA.org/bullyfree. Adults have the power to stop bullying in our schools.
It starts with me.
It starts with me.
It starts with me.
It starts with me.
Bully free. It starts with me.
Visit NEA.org/bullyfree. A message from the National Education Association.
1470 AM and 95.3 FM. Download the new WNN app to your phone from your app store and never miss a Talk 1470 AM 95.3 FM minute.
The traditional light bulb, a groundbreaking invention in 1879. Other groundbreaking ideas from that time, the whalebone corset, the pedal-operated submarine, and the two-story outhouse. We've come a long way since then. It's time our light bulbs did the same. Visit EnergySavers.gov and learn about energy-saving light bulbs. See, these new bulbs are more efficient than the old ones, like a text message is more efficient than a carrier pigeon. They last longer, too, like how we humans last longer now that doctors use antibiotics instead of leeches. And they cut down on our energy costs, because in our own groundbreaking age of aeroplanes and moving pictures, we deserve a light bulb that saves us some cash. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Whoa, a digital music player. Thanks, Mom.
Glad you like it. We can finally toss out that old massive stereo.
Mom, you can't just throw out electronics. They need to be recycled or donated.
Recycled? Like aluminum cans?
Yeah, you just go to greenergadgets.org, enter your zip code, and it tells you where the nearest certified recycling center is.
I knew that.
Okay, Mom.
Recycling electronics is as easy as buying them. Log on to greenergadgets.org to find electronics recycling options near you.
Now you can get Talk 1470 WNN on 95.3 FM too. Loud and clear, Health and Wealth Radio, WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show, the place to fine-tune your swing, dress for the course, club, or cruise, and get tips on the best places to play and stay at the right price. Vacation or staycation, host Dan Schub, along with his expert co-hosts and guests, will tell you where to go. To play golf and vacation, that is. Now, here's Dan.
Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show. I'm your host, Dan Schub, and tonight, like we usually do, we're going to talk some golf, we're going to talk some travel, and of course, we're going to have a wonderful time doing it. We got a great show in store for you tonight. In a couple of minutes, we'll be chatting with Paul Cronin, and he's the VP and GM of men's brands for Lacoste Sportswear. I've had an opportunity to check out some of their products recently, and I approve, so I thought that I'd share this with you as well. Of course, this is on the heels of the PGA Merchandise Show, where I have an opportunity to sample a lot of different products and meet a lot of different people. And, of course, just like with travel, I like to share the good, the bad, the ugly. I try to avoid the ugly and share mostly just the good. But since we like to talk a little bit about golf to start out the show, I just wanted to talk briefly about an experience, and this is an experience that has to do with just communications and the world as we know it today. So it kind of applies to a lot of things. Excuse me. This is a company called Life Aid, and they produce a line of drinks for active folks. So they've got one for fitness. I guess they call it Fit Aid. They've got Golfer Aid or Golf Aid. They've got Travel Aid. And it's an energy drink of some sorts that's supposed to help you compete better out on the golf course or in the gym or wherever it is that you're taking. They must have like 10 or 12 different ones, and I don't know how much the formulation changes from one to another, or if it's just the name that changes so they can sell it in different to different people that do different things. But in any event, I tried it at the show. They're very aggressive. They come at you in the aisles and, throw samples in your face pretty much. And I drank some of it, and it tasted, I guess, kind of lemon limey. It was lightly carbonated, which I don't usually like carbonated drinks. And actually, it did give me a little bit of a boost for a few minutes. And unfortunately, then it upset my stomach. So that I wasn't really planning on recommending it to anybody because, I've got a sensitive stomach, so it might not be right for me. It might be right for you. But to move over to the marketing and the communications of this company. So after the show, I get an email from them thanking me for being there. And, of course, they scan my badge, and I have a media badge. And they send me an offer to stock up with, a special price on cases for my golf shop. And it just annoyed me a little bit because they know when they scan my badge that I'm in the media. Why would I be buying caseloads of this stuff to stock my golf shop? So being that I didn't like the product anyway, I just wrote back to them and I asked them to remove me from their email list because I get so much stuff to go through. And again, I try and pick out the good stuff and not the bad stuff. But so they respond back to me offering me an additional discount if I would buy even more product. And so I got really angry and I wrote back again and said, you got to be kidding me. I just wrote to you to tell you that I don't resell this stuff. I don't want to buy this stuff. I'm in the media. And now you just sent me another offer to buy even more stuff. Do you not read anything or it's just not right. So I get another email back from them and apologizing and saying, absolutely, we take you off the email list. You'll never get any more email. And then a couple of days later, I got a survey from them asking how my conversation went with their customer service people. So in any event, needless to say, Golfers Aid or Life Aid is not my favorite company. They're not my favorite marketers, and I don't recommend the product. But you can choose for yourself. I'm not even going to give you their contact information. You're going to have to find that on your own. But anyway, in keeping with golf, like we usually do up at the top of the show, I wanted to talk briefly about the Honda Classic, which I had an opportunity to go to, and I spoke about it last week on the show, but I just got the attendance numbers in, and it seems that they broke another record, which I kind of assumed that they would. So just by a little bit, maybe 1,000 or so or 1,500 more fans than the year before. But it gets very, very difficult when you've achieved the kinds of numbers that they've achieved year after year and continue to grow. The only time in the past several years that they haven't gone up was in 2015 because they had really bad weather the entire time. But keep in mind, too, that when the attendance goes up, so does the amount of money that they've raised for all of the local charities that they do such wonderful work for. So I haven't seen those numbers yet. I expect to see them soon. But again, we had Ken Kennerly on the show, the executive director of the Honda Classic, a couple of weeks ago, and I just wanted to tip my hat to him and to the organization, and just to say that it was great, and to see Ricky Fowler win. He was the hometown favorite, lives in Jupiter, and the crowd was really into it. So great job. Just wanted to kind of wrap that up. This week, the tour typically would be playing, or had been playing for years. It was the World Golf Championships, and that was the event that's been at Doral for many years. And this year, the tour decided way back when the owner of Doral, who I guess is still the owner of Doral, but also happens to be the president of our country, he had said some things about Mexican folks, and being that there are a lot of Mexicans that play on the tour, as well as that work on the golf courses, they felt that they had to make a statement and decided that they probably didn't want to continue playing there. Coincidentally, at the same time, the sponsorship, major sponsor, Cadillac, was not renewing. And for better or worse, Grupo Salinas, a fellow by the name of Ricardo Salinas, who owns it, he also owns TV Azteca, which is Mexico's second largest broadcasting company. He offered to become the sponsor of the event and move it to Mexico City, where they're playing today and over the weekend. And I saw first of all, I was very interested in it because they're playing at the highest elevation that they've ever played before. So they're at about 7,600 feet of elevation, where the golf ball is going to travel on average about 8% further. So the big hitters off the tee, who are already hitting the ball ridiculous length, are going to get the benefit of this. The other interesting thing is it's just outside the city, and I saw some shots of the city, and the smog is really bad in Mexico City. This is on the outskirts, and there's a lot of trees, and I guess that's not going to be a big issue. But I saw a story in the news today, written by a guy by the name of Gary Van Sickle. He writes for Sports Illustrated, Golf.com, Golf World, and the Milwaukee Journal. And he was talking about an incident back in 2005 where the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission sued Mr. Salinas on fraud charges. And it seems that he had made about $109 million in profit that was considered to be illegal. And they settled it amicably. Mr. Salinas paid a $7.5 million fine, which indicates to me that there must have been some culpability there, or he wouldn't have done that, although he did not admit to any wrongdoing. So it just seems kind of odd to me that the PGA is, on one hand, making political decisions about one person who perhaps they don't like, and, I get that. But then moving it to another place where there's more strange politics and illegal maneuverings and stuff, the whole thing just doesn't look right. And I don't know. I kind of wish that none of it had happened. And I also miss, politics aside, I miss the fact that we lost that tournament from here in South Florida. It messed up the whole Florida swing. A lot of the players, that had played in California and then had to come here to the Honda decided to not play in the Honda because they were playing in Mexico City, and it was just too much traveling. So it kind of hurt the field a little bit at the Honda as well, which just did not, just none of it seemed right to me. So in any event, just my observations on that. Also in the news this past week, something of interest is that the Royal and Ancient, as well as the USGA, have announced some proposed new rules changes to try and simplify the rules of golf. And, one instance is, we've seen multiple times on TV these phantom golf ball movements that nobody knows if it's the rotation of the earth or if the golfer himself actually caused the ball to move. They're not going to penalize the golfer for that. A bunch of other things to try and speed up the game as well. They're trying to increase the number of people that play the game, and a lot of people feel that if the game is too slow, that's going to hurt. Another article that I saw posted by a fellow by the name of John Gordon. He writes for a bunch of Canadian newspapers and magazines and has written several books, and he pointed out that he was a little bit disappointed that they did not address what happens when your ball lands in somebody else's divot that wasn't repaired. that perhaps that should have been included if they were making all these rule changes, and maybe they missed an opportunity. So in any event, you can go to the USGA or the R&A's website, and you could comment on these rules. They put it out there, or these proposed rules, they put it out there for the public comments. So maybe you want to comment about, the divot situation. Lucky for me, I don't play tournament golf. If I land in a divot, I will take it out of the divot. I just don't have the game to hit my shots out of someone else's divots. But, golf is a tough game. They need to make it easier so more people decide to play. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break and have a message from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be back. We'll be talking to Paul Cronin. He is the VP and GM of men's brands for Lacoste. We're going to talk about some exciting news over there at Lacoste, as well as some really neat high-tech underwear that they're producing that I've had a chance to try, and that seems to be the latest craze, this high-tech underwear. I remember the days when underwear was pretty simple, but you won't want to miss it. It'll be very interesting for all of you. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more of the Golf and Travel Show. And we're back. And if your business needs industrial workers, or if you're looking for work, you got to call Labor Finders. Labor Finders places for temporary or temporary to hire opportunities for skilled, semi-skilled, or general labor positions such as plumbers, electricians, concrete workers, forklift operators, hospitality, office clerical, and so much more. Labor Finders has almost 200 offices nationwide. Near here in Boca Raton, they have offices in Homestead, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and in Jupiter. So if you need legal, insured workers, or if you're looking for work, call Labor Finders toll free at 800-864-7749. That's 800-864-7749, or just go to laborfinders.com. And we are back, and every time when I talk to somebody who represents a manufacturer of some nice-looking clothing, I always say that if you don't have a great game, at least you want to look good or feel good while you're out there on the golf course, and I think that applies to this guest that we have here. This is a product that's been around since, I guess, like the 1930s, and they've made quite a name for themselves in high fashion these days, and some high-tech now, too, it seems. But to find out a little bit more about some sportswear, underwear as well, and exciting news about the Lacoste brand, we have with us Paul Cronin, the VP and GM of men's brands for Lacoste. Paul, are you there?
Yes, I am, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Very good. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. And what I typically like to do is I briefly mention that your company, the Lacoste brand at least, it has a very, very long history. Can you just kind of very briefly, kind of take us from the beginning to where we are today, and then we could talk about some of the exciting products and news that you have?
Absolutely. Just a real brief history. We were fortunate enough to get associated with the Lacoste brand about 3.5 years ago. Lacoste has been creating great innovative sportswear since 1927. The official start was probably in 1933, so they've been at it for about 84 years. And they kind of came to us and said, we'd like to get into the underwear business, and we've got the great history of René Lacoste, a real French business leader, fashion designer, and a tennis champion. And they said, we think you guys could do great underwear for us. So we got to work on it, and we've been working hard at it for certainly for the last 3.5 years. We're now in about 28 countries and pushing strong every day. So it's been an exciting journey.
Now, you're based here in the U.S., though, right?
Yeah, so we're based in New York City, and we distribute the product worldwide. So we've got strong positioning throughout Europe, certainly North America, including Canada and Mexico, and then Southeast Asia, including Korea, Japan, and China now. So it's been very highly well received, and it's all really about innovation. You know, not everybody knows about Rene's story, but you know, after his playing days, he was the guy who created the first metal tennis racket.
Oh wow!
He was the guy who created the first tennis ball machine, so people could take practice shots. So he was a real tenacious leader. And, you know, kind of how he got his name was he always played the bass line, and he played his components that way, and he was very aggressive, like you know, an alligator on the court, and that kind of launched the shirt, which has been such a great success. I think they're offering it now in 53 or 54 colors. So we just really tried to take all of that really great history and put it into a pair of underwear, and with all the beautiful colors and the Frenchness that really has made the collection quite a success.
Now, believe it or not, I have a little family history with Lacoste too. It's as strange as that may sound. My wife worked for Izod Lacoste. They had a partnership for 20 or 30 years, I believe, and she worked in the garment district in New York for them, and it was fascinating. I had an opportunity, of course, to go to the company store and pick out all the different Lacoste shirts and stuff like that. And I believe at that time, the parent company, at least in the States, I don't know if it was for the whole world, was General Mills.
Yeah, I think it was at that time. I think that arrangement dissipated in the mid-'90s, and then the brand emerged back in the United States in the early 2000s, and I got to tell you, it's been, you know, knock on wood, a pretty solid story since, and really qualifying distribution and really making it for the most special customers out there. So about 8 months ago, Lacoste came to us, and I'll give you a little pitch on the new product that you're wearing now.
Yes, I'm literally wearing it right now.
Terrific. So that's great to hear, and we appreciate it. I saw your Facebook page earlier today, and I can put up some new pictures of a new collection that we have coming out in fall, because we're beginning to build this whole Lacoste sport collection in underwear. It's about innovation, just like Rene was all about innovation. What we're doing is we're adding something called quick dry technology. So if a guy's out there playing golf on a hot day, or he's playing tennis, or he's just doing the sport of living, you know, he might just be running errands and going and getting the kids pizza or something.
Well, especially here in Florida.
Yeah, he's moving around. He's an active lifestyle. And, you know, the Lacoste guy, you know, we're not talking about the, you know, Joe Six-Pack guy and he's in the gym 8 hours a day. This is the guy who's got a family and a life and a personality. He enjoys color. He enjoys, you know, Frenchism and French brands, and our fit is universal. So, you know, great following here in the United States. South Florida is one of our key markets. Southern California, another one. And I'm here in the Northeast in the U.S., and we're expanding into, you know, a lot more stores.
Now, I have to tell you, I was always a traditional underwear kind of guy. I wore cotton briefs from Jockey for years and years and years. And then a couple of years ago, it seems that the underwear, the technology, the style, it just like went crazy. And I actually, you know, put my toe in the water. You can't go back once you start wearing these new fabrics and new styles and new fits. It's really, I didn't think I needed it until I realized I did, you know?
Yeah, and a lot of people are that way. You know, we put a pair of one of my biggest competitors' underwear on when we're about 16 years old, and we wake up and we're 40, and we say, you know, I still have my Calvins on. You know, and you kind of scratch your head. You say, is there anything else out there? Is there anything else out there that's better? And what men have done in the last, I would say, 7 or 8 years is we're beginning to borrow fabrics from women's wear. And we have in our collection some beautiful, elegant Tencel, which is actually wood pulp, some of the softest underwear you've ever felt at a terrific value. And all this product, by the way, and I hate to pitch exactly where you can get it, but the full collection is at Amazon. The full collection is at Zappos. We're at department stores like Nordstrom's and Bloomingdale's and Macy's and Lord & Taylor, some of the best stores out there. So, you can find the product, but there's a whole range. So we've got this great new thing called Lacoste Sport, which we're very excited about. But then we have some premium Supima cotton and cotton stretch, and again, it all ties back to what Renee would want and what he would see in color. So great, understandable color and Frenchism.
Yeah, and I mean, the stretch is really important too, because my old stuff, and I have to say, men especially, we're creatures of habit. And I'm curious to ask you also about, how many times is it the woman that's buying for the men? That's a whole nother story probably. But now stuff doesn't stretch out anymore. It stays the right shape forever. And another thing that I noticed is the labels in the back were really annoying, and you've gotten rid of that in many cases as well. There's just so many little things that have improved over the years, and when you put it all together, it makes a huge difference.
It really does. It's like a technology project at this point. The competition keeps us, awake at night, and we continue to try to innovate and make better, superior products. So you talked about the waistbands. We've got some premium waistbands on our Lacoste product, which include bonding in the back, so there's actually no seam. So it's really a seamless garment, which feels terrific. All of our waistbands are engineered, so you get a beautiful, the branding right across the front, whether we use a crocodile or the word Lacoste. So, and then you were just talking about cotton stretch. It does stretch, it recovers. It's 95% cotton, so it's breathing all day long for you, but it's that little 5% stretch, and it stays with you whether you're doing active activities or shopping or just running around with the kids, or hopefully you're playing around at golf. Well, that's the other thing. When you, I wouldn't consider myself an athlete. I'm not even a weekend warrior. I play golf, once or twice a month if I'm lucky. But I'm obviously not as young as I used to be. But the positions that you have to get in to actually hit a golf ball the right way, you really want your underwear to kind of move the right way with you so that it kind of, it just stays intact is a polite way to say it, I suppose. But other athletes, my buddy, he's a tennis player and he's also, in his 50s and he's out there playing tennis in the summer in Florida. So he's running around, he's sweating. You need to have something that's more modern than the old stuff. The technology that you guys have come up with, there's just so many different things, like I say, that it's kind of all doing at the same time, and things that, eventually you take these things for granted when you start wearing it every day. But it's the day that you switch from an old-fashioned type of underwear to something like what you guys are making that you could really notice the difference. Absolutely. And, I've lost a ball or two in my day, and I'm happy to have on my cotton stretch Lacoste underwear to go track down those balls, the ones I can find. And you come back cool and comfortable and dry, and that's the most important thing. You don't feel like after the first 9 you got to go back into the clubhouse and change, which is terrific. Now, what about the colors? Even though you wear, obviously, it's underwear and it's underneath your pants, but people like to have colors that match, I suppose. I don't know why. I guess when you bend over and the band sticks out or whatever it is, but or I suppose when you disrobe. But in any event, how do you work out the color palettes and stay on top of the fashion? Obviously, that's constantly changing. Oh, it is. And what we try to do is we try to follow in Lacoste. We try to follow a lot of the color direction of that classic, they call it the L1212 piqué polo. And we kind of use that as our base as we build out from there in terms of colors that work in men's underwear. A lot of the colors that are true to Lacoste have been very successful for us. Many of our competitors don't have green underwear. We do, and we quite honestly, we sell a lot of it. The basics like black and gray and white are huge, especially because they're kind of like tennis colors for us, which are great. Shades of blue are strong. Everything from sky to cobalt to deep blue to a deep navy, which we call iris. It's almost like a black color. Have been great. So, and then you can't make it boring. I was on the retail buyer side for a long time, and you have to pop the palette with some fun colors. So we've got some great colors coming in this spring. Quite honestly, in yellows and orange and some pink shades that really liven up the palette for the guy that isn't so traditional. And you just mentioned, and we did a little bit of a study on in terms of who's shopping for men's underwear today. All the guys on the line should feel very comfortable shopping for their own underwear. There's a big trend in the United States now. it was about 63% of the people that were males were shopping